Ladies and gentlemen, joining me on the line for, I don't know how many times this has been, but Steve Shippy is on the line. Hey, Steve, how we doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
We talked about that off the air, and you know what? We're just going to leave it there. But, hey, man, boy, you're doing a lot of these shock doc things, right?
Yes.
Do you have, like, a certain number, like a are these individual or, like, coming to you one at a time? Or did they say, hey, we want you to do 5 of these? How does that work?
They come one at a time. When the right case pops up, that's when they present themselves. And actually, this particular one that I'm calling about today, this is something that actually I've been working on and off for 8 years.
I was going to say one of the times we talked, you talked a little bit about this, and this seems it sounded like it was right up your alley. But the new one, Shock Doc's Michigan Hell House, is coming out this weekend. It premieres over on Travel Channel, I believe 8 o'clock our time on Sunday night.
Yes. Yep.
All right. Tell us about the Michigan Hell House. What are we getting into here?
Well, I'm going to start it off by saying, I understand this is a very impactful thing to say, but this is the most prolific and most documented haunting in American history. And that's a very bold statement, I understand. To give you the ramifications of it, I guess, and some of the backstory, this all took place and began in 1974. The rural farm community of Merrill, Michigan, a family of 4, Harold Pomeranian, his wife, and their 2 sons were living there for 20 years without a single problem, no incidents whatsoever. Go to bed one night, they hear a smashing of glass. They wake up, they run out to the living room. The large picture window in the front of the house had been completely shattered inward. They called the police, thought maybe it was some vandals, some neighborhood kids, not sure. Police took a report, they left. The next night, they started hearing pounding on the side of their house coming from all different directions, as if multiple people were out there doing it. Called the police. They looked for footprints, tried to find any clues, couldn't find anything, took another report, and left. From that night forward, every single night for a year, the police were at that home investigating more and more severe things that were taking place.
How does a place go from completely unhaunted to the most haunted?
Well, there's a very interesting theory. In fact, there's a couple of different theories with this case. One of them is that they thought it to be the most prolific poltergeist haunting that anyone had ever seen. This was declared by a group out of Duke University. When the police exhausted all investigative tactics, which include, stakeouts, polygraphs, surveillance, they basically brought this team from the university to come out and study the phenomenon. These experts believed it was an authentic poltergeist happening in the home. But at the same time, the family did not agree with this, and neither did all the locals. They were convinced it was the work of dark arts and witchcraft by somebody who really had it in for the family.
Did they? And I imagine this is in the in the show, but did someone have it out for them?
Yes, they did. It was actually a neighbor that had a grievance with them. However, a grievance that really didn't make any sense, and to this day, we don't understand exactly why this person. Well, this much I can tell you. Basically, one day this neighbor moves in to a brand new home next door. And for some reason, they come over to the Pomeranian's house and say they want to buy their house. So, of course, they're kind of confused because they said, well, didn't you just buy the house next door? Yes, but I want to buy your house. How much for your house? So they kind of thought, well, maybe they're kidding. Maybe they're just a little weird. They weren't sure what to make of it. And they kept coming over and persisting. Finally, the family said, look, it isn't for sale. This land's been in our family, for 100 years. We just built this home not that long ago. We're not selling. So quit asking. And they muttered something along the lines of, you'll regret that. That very night is when it all began.
Weird. Well, that seems like a little bit of overkill. I mean, I've got a bad neighbor that I don't like, but not once have I ever thought about dark arts and cursing with poltergeist activity. But Steve Shippy on the line with me right now. Shock Docs, Michigan Hell House coming out this weekend. Now, part of all these, it's really cool because you guys set up the story and then you do the investigation. When you guys went out there, what was it like? And real quick, because I know that's kind of your area, had you been to this place before Shock Docs?
Absolutely. I've investigated that location for actually months prior to coming out there again.
What was it like? What was the most evidence you caught from the place, or the night that it was like, okay, something's going on here? Was it when you were there for shock docs? Was it before? Was it after? What's kind of your feeling on the place?
Yeah, years ago when I first went out there, we were seeing shadowy figures. We were catching disembodied voices. Things would move on their own in the house. We would hear knocking from the outside of the house, go running outside. There's nobody out there, no sign of anybody out there. And that was my, first initial investigation, being at the Hell House. Well, the catalyst for reopening the case was getting a slew of new information, actually obtaining the recordings from the Duke University professors that were there in the 70s. We actually located these tapes that we thought were missing. Turned out they were in an archive at a major university, and one of the people that came out there were able to secure them, gave them to us. We got new reports and new eyewitnesses that came forward from that era. So at that point, we decided to reopen the case and see if we could finally put a stop to what was happening.
Steve Shippy on the line with me right now. Always great stories from you. Steve, with all these shock docs in mind, how many have you done? Is this 3 or 4?
This would be the 4th one.
Do you have, what's your feeling after doing one of these? Is it like, yeah, bring on another one? Because you've done some stories that are really out there, even for the world of hauntings. I mean, the last one, I can't remember the name of it, but it was the plane crash down in Florida, I believe. You did the Ed Gein stuff.
Yeah, Ed Gein, the real psycho, Ghost of Flight 401, and Scream the True Story.
That was the other one. What's your thought after doing these? Is it like, you know what, going to take a break, or you know what, give me another one. Let's go do this.
I mean, realistically, it's a little bit of both. I mean, when you get done with one of these, there's kind of a toll. There's kind of the after effects.
Yeah.
Of doing a case like this, where you just kind of really think about everything that you experienced, what you learned. Sometimes you're sifting through some pretty horrific crime scene photos, interviewing people that are fairly broken from what they experienced, and that kind of really affects you. But then, the thought that we're bringing some resolve and some peace to these situations, I think is kind of a little bit more of the driving force to say, okay, we got another one. All right, let's go.
Steve Shippy on the line with me right now. Shock Docs, the Michigan Hell House, coming out this coming Sunday night on Travel Channel. We'll get all the details over there. Steve, I'll let you get going. Great stuff, and good luck, okay?
All right, thank you so much.
All right, see you, buddy.